The next step of Minecraft is a major one. Mojang's recent announcement of switching from OpenGL to Vulkan has caused quite a stir amongst the Minecraft community. Most argue its pending implementation is late, but a necessary and welcome addition. Others express concerns about its effects on the community as a whole, specifically the impacts it will bring to the modern Minecraft scene. This is what we'll unravel in today's discussion. Greetings, I'm Critters, and welcome to the Mod Menagerie. To assess the ramifications of this, we need to understand what OpenGL and Vulkan are and how they operate. OpenGL and Vulkan are both types of APIs, or Application Programming Interfaces, known as graphics APIs. As graphics APIs, OpenGL and Vulkan act as the mediaries. They interface with the game engine and the GPU drivers of a graphics card to allow them to communicate their code in rendering visuals, computing operations, and hardware management. Think of them like vendors, or villagers in this case. They pass on the requests of what the buyer, or the player, wants, and behind the scenes, the villager's shop, the request is sent. In return, the shop processes this request and delivers the result, the purchased items, to the villager, who exchanges the buyer their output. Having to write code for every variant of something would be incredibly time-consuming. These APIs save the need for programmers having to do this each and every time. And for developers, graphics APIs provide them the means for creating unique effects and technologies that are accessible across different graphics cards. OpenGL has been the primary rendering API that's driven Minecraft's graphics since the game's creation. Developed in the 90s, OpenGL's long-standing use across the industry has allowed it to be compatible with all operating systems, both new and old. Though it has lacked in updates and is getting deprecated for Mac, OpenGL continues to be widely used across the industry, and for many, is an ideal starting point for creating computer graphics or simple projects. Whereas OpenGL's simplicity makes it easy to use as a graphics API, Vulkan's complexity allows developers to maximize its effectiveness in hardware. Although this technology has existed for a decade at this point, the benefits of Vulkan far surpass that of the likes of older graphics APIs like OpenGL. As a modern graphics API, Vulkan provides greater control over the graphics drivers to maximize the capabilities in running applications. Because of this, and its other qualities like multi-threading support, Vulkan usually yields the greater performance improvements when running graphics-demanding applications. This does, however, position Vulkan as a harder graphics API to learn and work with. Even though Vulkan has been a popular rendering API in the industry since the mid-2010s, why then are Mojang switching over to Vulkan now? OpenGL has been used to operate the game since Minecraft's inception, but the game has evolved a lot since its early days, and unfortunately for OpenGL, its age has been catching up. Mojang's shifts over the last few years into making Minecraft more accessible and modernized has involved major changes across the game's areas, from extending data pack capabilities to optimizing the lighting engine in 1.20. In light of these reworks, Mojang has addressed the problems arising from using OpenGL. As the game continues to evolve, the technology is becoming a growing bottleneck in Minecraft's updates. Ultimately, it's with vibrant visuals and its requirements to operate on Java Edition that have most likely influenced Mojang's decision to make the switch. They concluded that Vulkan is one of the only APIs that fulfill the needs of the development team, not just in making vibrant visuals a reality for Java Edition, but also for the game's longevity in the future. As a more modern API, Vulkan has its benefits, and the upgrade will almost certainly bring some decent improvements to the game's performance, but its effects won't go unnoticed across the modding scene, an area that, as of late, gained strong footholds across 1.20.1 and 121.1. The growing concern for the modding community is warranted. A change such as this is significant, both to the modders and the players. But how will this affect the modding scene? and why is there so much concern over it? Vulkan is, of course, substantially different to OpenGL in its structure and operations. The differences certainly exhibit their benefits, but for the case of mods, this difference creates an immediate issue. Mods cannot simply communicate with Vulkan like it can to OpenGL. Let's go back to our villager analogy from before, who's OpenGL in this case. If they're swapped out by a piglin, who will be Vulkan, then the player, in this case a mod, cannot interact with them the same way as they did previously. As a result, the player, or mod, has to rethink how to communicate with this new API. For our scenario, this merely entails the player wearing some gold and giving the piglin a piece of gold. For mods, the consequences involve having to rewrite much of the existing code to ensure it can interface with the Vulkan API. Mods that heavily interact with the API or the rendering itself, i.e. shaders, mods like Distant Horizons, Voxy, Flywheel, and even blocks that add custom visuals, will be the biggest candidates that will be affected by this change. Vulkan is a complex graphics API to get accustomed to, and the rewriting process won't be quick. That is, if it even works once it's been fully rewritten too. This will make it quite difficult for those unfamiliar to the Vulkan pipeline. Vulkan's effects will even go beyond the modded scene as well. Because Vulkan is a newer technology, some machines may not be operable with the new renderer, leaving some people with older devices behind. This may seem quite bleak for the beginning of modding on Vulkan, but there is some positive news. Thanks to resources and speculation, proactive modders have already begun taking preparations for the arrival of Vulkan. For one, Iris, the popular shader loader mod of today, may become discontinued, although the developer behind the mod itself, IMS, has revealed a new shader project he's been developing specifically for the Vulkan API, Aperture. Aperture will supersede Iris as Vulkan's shader loader, and has been in development for the last couple of months behind the scenes, where it can take full advantage of Vulkan's capabilities. IMS has also shared news that the popular performance mod, Sodium, has been updated to fully work with Vulkan's API, which is certainly promising news that these well-established mods are being prepared early in anticipation for Vulkan's arrival. If done correctly, Vulkan's performance benefits will make it easy for players to run heavy modded setups. Although some mods could become redundant in Vulkan's wake, its emergence could give rise to a new subset of performance mods that find ways of optimizing and refining Vulkan's capabilities even further. Moreover, shaders will be able to take advantage of Vulkan's capabilities, like better rendering methods and optimization techniques. The results of this are twofold. Shaders may become more accessible for players with lower-end machines, thanks to the performance improvements made by the API. And secondly, shaders can be pushed to new areas of graphics rendering, allowing for current and new shaders to emerge and tinker with Vulkan's API features. There is one area though that could be of particular concern. Some Minecraft mods exist that have already rewritten the game to use the Vulkan renderer, like Photon and the upcoming Radiance mod. No doubt you could see the potential issue with these perhaps. So what becomes of these then? Inevitably, mods such as these will most likely be made redundant once Vulkan officially arrives, but their popularity in current modding versions will ensure they remain viable on the OpenGL versions. All the current versions beforehand will most likely still be adopting OpenGL, and with much of the modding scene concentrated on a few major versions, it will probably take several months, maybe more even, till the modding scene settles on a Vulkan version of Minecraft, let alone build momentum. Suffice to say, these mods will continue to have their relevance on OpenGL versions, where you can enjoy the wide array of mods and reap the benefits of Vulkan technology concurrently. A day may come where they'll become irrelevant, but as of now, they won't be going away anytime soon. Vulkan's significance has also posed an interesting debate amongst the Minecraft community. Could the switch to Vulkan creates the next major modding version. Replacing OpenGL with Vulkan would undoubtedly shake up the development of current and established Minecraft mods. Add to the fact that Vulkan has a steeper learning curve than OpenGL, and, well, you could perhaps see much of the player base remaining content with their current mod setups. Some modders may even hold off the process entirely, whether it's to continue supporting the popular modding versions, or out of a desire to wait until Vulkan just becomes easier or more established to mod on. To put it into perspective, the last big change on the modding scene was the 1.13 update, which was the flattening, splitting the modding community into two, and, as a result, gave rise to modded 1.12. 1.7 followed a similar result due to 1.83 writes, amongst its smaller updates and longer development times. In that case, if we're going by previous events, the last version of Minecraft with OpenGL, whatever that becomes, could be the next major modding version. Alternatively, the current major versions could continue acting as these popular OpenGL versions. However, Vulkan's technology, its potential in the Minecraft community, and the effectiveness of its implementation might sway modders to utilize the Vulkan API as quick as possible. Paired with the modders who are already making preparations for Vulkan's arrival, and it doesn't seem out of the question that the first update that uses Vulkan itself could be the new major modded version. Whatever the outcomes are, we can only find out in time. It won't be until mid-2026, at the earliest, before Mojang openly test Vulkan in their snapshots. One thing is for certain, Vulkan will impact the future of modern Minecraft. It will open new opportunities to optimize and utilize the rendering API even further. But of course, this will cause a shakeup in the modded scene. Fortunately, with the notice, resources, and proactive modders, I believe that while it will be difficult, the modding scene will come through. If you want to learn more about APIs or the major modded versions, then you may find these videos here to be of some interest to you. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this discussion useful or informative, and let's continue expanding the mod menagerie.